What a great introduction. Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military veterans and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. And guess what? It is hot. The only reason I am wearing a sweater in this heat behind me is because of Delaware. And Delaware is cold. It's almost 50. It is crazy. It'll be 90 tomorrow. But we're not in for the heat at Delaware. We're talking about this month as the heat is gone over across the nation. It is beating people up, right? People, you can't even take off layers of skin. But guess what happens? We can get away from heat, but sometimes life turns up the heat too. We can turn on the AC or find some shade, cut it down about 15 to 20 degrees. But sometimes life doesn't always provide that when it dials up the heat, right? You ever had life that just goes over and hits you again and again and again? This week, we're going to ask the question, what do we do? And instead of me answering that question, because I've only gone maybe a few trials, there's some people that are in my life that are fellow military veteran first responders have gone through those trials. In these next 2 weeks, we're going to talk about that, and they're going to go bring it forward. So I'm going to have a guest every time that I'm live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday the next 2 weeks, and going to go bring that message from their perspective on how they went over and dealt with the heat. So my first guest is a powerhouse. His name is Kenneth Bradley. We're going to bring him on in a second. But here's the question he's going to jump right into because we're going to turn up the heat a little bit. The military moves, kids and deployments, and even invasion is happening in your life. We're going to have him share a story, or maybe 2 or 12, depending on how excited you are in this chat, to see on how he dealt with the heat when it became unbearable. So we're going to bring Kenneth to the screen, and he's going to go dive right into the questions. Hey, Kenneth, thanks for joining.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's always a pleasure to be with you, my man. How's the audio? How do I sound?
You sound echoey, but fantastic. The good thing it's a social media live, and we'll talk about how to make that echo go away at the end.
Yeah, I wanted to get it. I wanted to get it better for you, man. But this is version 2 of the Batcave. As you know, I lost a lot of equipment in our recent PCS move. So, you know, those 3 R's, man. You just gotta have that resiliency, bounce back, and keep moving. While we're doing the interview, I will try to throw on some headphones and see if that'll work. But other than that, I don't think there's much I can do in terms of the echo for right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're concerned more about the story than anything else, and we can always fix it on the back end. So if you can share some stories maybe about the heat that you're going through right now, or a past story that it was unbearable, and then we'll talk about how you survived and go from there.
Absolutely. So my current heat storm, which is outstanding story of resiliency. My wife is deployed, as you guys know. She'll be back next month. But while she was deployed, she came down on PCS orders. So she kind of hit me with that surprise. Hey, honey, we're getting ready to PCS. I'll be back in July. I'm like, great, that's awesome. When you get back, we'll pack everything up. We'll be ready to go. So she says, no, we got to be out of the house a month before I get back. Wait a minute, what? So we had the PCS. I essentially had to move the entire house with the 2 kids by myself. And it has been bananas. The kids got sick from a stomach virus. The house that we were moving into got robbed as we were moving stuff into the house. We lost the majority of my office equipment. That's kind of why you see the walls are bare. Military decorations, medals, marathons. We lost a lot of equipment, man, a lot of gear. And just the struggles of dealing with PCS season and moving, clearing one house in one city while also trying to get the kids enrolled in another city and school and doctors. Man, it has been a great 3 weeks, man. I'm telling you. I don't know if you can see the shirt. This is life right now. AM, PM, coffee in the morning, a little bit of granddad's Wonder Tonic in the afternoon to keep me sane. And man, we have been rocking and rolling, man. It's been a hell of an adventure. What else? Let's talk.
Yeah, we're going there. So that is a very hot season, PCS and getting invaded and stuck in, taken, and everything else. How are you surviving, or how did you survive? I mean, you're pretty much doing like single dad superhero. You should have a cape flowing in the background.
I wish, man. I will tell you, my wife has played an integral part in keeping me sane. Although she's not here physically, you know, every time we talk, hey baby, how's it? How you hanging? How's your day? Are you okay? You know, and then I'm not sure if you're familiar with the five love languages,
Oh
but
yeah, definitely so.
I am a verbal reassurance guy. I
Mm,
need that in my life. And you know, my wife, she speaks my love language amazingly. So you know, I'll get these random texts, hey, you're doing a great job, Dad.
hmm
I'm so proud of you. I'm glad you're my husband. So man, without the support of my wife, and then my mom kind of, I had to pull on the yellow cord, man, and call the mom in. So my
hmm
mom came up from Atlanta and was like, hey, let me give you a week to kind of help you out, man, and just using every
That's cool.
strength of my support system, man. That's why it's so critical to have a support system, man, and just a chain of not just physical support but emotional support. Somebody you can pour into and call and say, "Hey, man, I'm having a rough day. Let me
hmm
vent to you for about 30 minutes, bro." And
hmm
I don't know how many virtual beers I done had with some of my best friends just calling. I mean, you know, dudes I've known for over 30 years, they just, you know, they've listened to a grown man cry. There's been some times, man, because you know when the lights on, when the kids are needy, you have to be dad in that moment. You know,
Yeah.
dad can't show weaknesses. Plus, you got a wife who's deployed and she's going through her own stresses. So you got to take on that. And you got to be the support system for her.
Mm.
Man, it's just been hell, man, and it seems like one wave after another. And I'm just so grateful and thankful, man, for my support system, man, and being able to have people I can call and just like, hey, man, I need, you know, I need a couple of minutes, man, just to let it all out, man. It's wild.
I would say so, to say the least. I mean, so now that you've gone through this trial and maybe some other ones that you've gone through the past, what do you change to thrive? Because survival mode is easy. We pull ourselves by our bootstraps. That's the military mentality. But if you had to live it over again, or maybe a story that you've gone through and you said there's the lessons learned, what would you change to go from just the survival mode to the thriving mode?
Absolutely. One thing I would change is TTPs, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just sticking to the technique, tactics, and procedure, man. I had a plan, and when I deviated from my plan,
Mm-hmm.
the whole system went awry, and I kind of kicked myself in the butt a little bit because we had a plan for moving all the furniture down. It was going to be a phased movement. You know, every week we'd move a little bit of stuff, and then the culminating event will be the packers coming to grab the appliances and everything. So I
Mm-hmm.
tried to get ahead of the system a little bit and moved all my office equipment down. And I was like, well, I'll at least set my office up and I can work from my remote office and get the sound and stuff put in. And
Mm-hmm.
it just I did it to myself. I didn't have the alarm system put in place at the house. I didn't have the house protected like it should have been. And had I just stayed on that path and followed my TTPs, man, I'd have been good to go. But you know, sometimes in our rush to succeed, we get anxious and we
Mm-hmm.
get ahead of ourselves. And you know, we can have a rock solid foundation, a rock solid plan, but the plan's no good if you don't stick to it. You know,
Yeah.
and I learned that lesson, I guess, the hard way this time. So
Yeah, well, I want to give a shout out to USAA that they go over and help the plan in that particular regard. And they might not be our sponsors yet, but they are fantastic. So, other stories another time. So, what did you learn in this season specifically? Like, now you got the deployment and everything else, you got upcoming shows, you're producing a bunch of things, but the trials hit you really hard. Have you had any lessons that have you formulated that you're going to take from this season and bring it to the next season?
absolutely. One of the biggest lessons that I just continue to, I'm not going to say I continue to learn, I continue to grow in learning is perseverance and resiliency, man. I cannot stress to you enough the importance of staying the course. You know, there were so many times I can look back over this past year to where I just want to throw my hands up and quit, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But then, and then, you know, you kind of get lost in the mundane day by day stuff, and you kind of like, man, I'm stagnant, I'm stagnant, I'm stagnant. But
Mm-hmm.
then when you pull yourself out of the situation and you look back, we've produced 3 films this year. We're
Ooh.
shooting our first feature in October for the company. So we did a complete company overhaul. We're producing a new show for Legrity that's getting ready to release here in a couple of months. I mean, we got projects left and right that are blossoming in spite of all of this adversity. So sometimes you just got to pull yourself out of the fire for a minute and just, you know, be appreciative of how far you've actually come, man. And that's one of the lessons that I'm gonna take forward with me from learning in this season.
That's awesome. And speaking of lessons, now you got to take those lessons and now equip them. So how do you equip yourself for those future heat waves? Because they will come. They're not going to be the same. They might be different. So what are you going to go equip yourself with if those things happen again, or it gets more chaotic and different things? I mean, these ones are pretty crazy, but we always think it's crazy, and then we get on and something more stupid happens. So
Yeah,
what are you equipping yourself with?
absolutely, man. I am trying to Murphy proof my systems. Just refining the systems and the procedures, man, for everything we do. We've learned that the more time we spend in pre-production, the less time we will spend in post-production. So just refining those refining those policies and those procedures, making sure we make the right strategic alliances and partnerships to grow our company, and just making sure that anything that we put our name on or attach our name to as a brand, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. It's not just one-sided. So just learning those, learning from those mistakes, and then those crisscrosses that we kind of had over the year will set us up well going into our third quarter here, as we get ready for fourth quarter coming up and start of the new fiscal year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, military. I wasn't even thinking about fiscal year. Yeah.
I cannot turn it off. My entire company is built off of the military fiscal year. So 1 October is how we plan everything. That's when we're gonna start filming for our feature. Not to be that guy, but I would definitely want to give a quick plug for the show and everything we got going on. But I'm sure we'll get to that at the end of the show.
We will. And our last question before we get to what we go over and do at War Hero Superhero for you, but also for everybody else, is want to think about what resources do you have in your tool belt that we can help other people be equipped? Because dealing with these heat waves, we just go through them and we think that we're all alone and whatnot. What resources have you learned that someone else can put into their tool belt so they can go over and thrive?
Absolutely. Just like when we were in the military, man, you're only as strong as your weakest link in your squad. You learn that in your squad, your section, your platoon. So making sure that you have strong emotional bonds, you have strong professional relationships, and you kind of take that philosophy and build your life around it, man. You have to have strong people who can help you carry the burden, and because you're not gonna be Superman every day. Sometimes you're gonna turn into Clark Kent, and you're gonna need help. And just making sure you have those strong bonds, man. That is so critical. And for me, professionally and personally, just having those connections and those strong connections.
And that's totally key to go over and have that. I want to thank you for going over and joining Kenneth, and I want to go over and produce a challenge. It might put a little heat in your life, but it might give you a lot of cooling at the end. So what we normally do with interviews in general is that we go over and say, hey, whoever gets the most views within 3 days, watching 3 seconds, let me get my fingers correct, 3 seconds, then they go over and they go on to War Hero Superhero, which is now aired on Legrity. We're doing a soft launch right now, ladies and gentlemen. So when you go on there and you're saying like, hey, there's not a lot of content, we want you to come to bring the content, to go make this from soft launch to premiere launch. But you can go watch War Hero to Superhero each and every week as it goes over and airs. But here's the caveat. With Escape the Heat this month, we have about 6 people interviewing. So we're going to up the ante a little bit. So first off, if you go over and whoever gets the most views will get a special episode with me on War Hero to Superhero, and that will be branded out and everything else. But if the member can get 5,000 views within like 5 days, then you can go over and get a commercial that will be branded the entire month, not just on the show on Legrity, but also on the podcast, and that'll be forever evergreen throughout. So we will be putting that out there. So you will get a video commercial if you get 5,000 views. If you get the most views out of your competitors, you get to be on the show. But if you get a minimum of 5,000 views in 5 days, then you'll go over. And it only takes 3 seconds to get a view. So friends and family of Kenneth and anybody else that goes over and watch this, you got to click the video. So many people tell me they watch it and they tell me and they kind of cyber stalk me, but they don't go over and click the video. So we don't know that's doing that. And we don't know who's going over and watching. And it's hard to go over and to get the people and the guests that we're trying to drive towards when we don't have the views. So we'll love and continue to serve you. But if you want Kenneth to go over and get that commercial, that's going to be aired all through Legrity's portfolio, which is roughly 300 million households, and going over and through all the cyberspace, 5,000 views in 5 days. So that's what we're gifting also. So we up the ante. So Kenneth, the ball is in your court, and anything last you want to bring to our audience on how to help them escape the heat, or some wisdom you want to shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, guys, always stay resilient, stay persistent, turn your dreams into plans so they become achievable, and just stay the course, man. That's really the lesson of this season. Stay the course, keep your head down, nose to the charger handle, and remember the fundamentals of trigger squeeze.
Well, that's really fantastic. I know I don't, but the rest of you do. So we'll go over and take that as a note to go over and to escape the heat the right way. Squeeze the trigger well, make sure you don't jerk the trigger, and we'll go over and not jerk the trigger on letting this go too soon. So thank you guys all for watching. Catch us on another episode tomorrow, War Hero Superhero. Remember, 3-second view to go over and uplift Kenneth. All right, thanks. Bye.